what is the current state of the market right here in the Fort Walton Beach area and the surrounding areas. Stick around, we're going to fill you in. I'm AJ, and this is
Andrew.
And we're with the Emerald Group right here on the Emerald Coast. We're doing videos every week from Pensacola to Panama City Beach and everywhere in between. So if you have any questions about our area, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so that you get notified every time we do another video. We are getting inundated, especially with Facebook messages and calls, texts, emails, all the different forms of communications. I think he got a paper airplane one time. It might have been me from another room. Not really sure. Horrible handwriting might have been me. But we enjoy it. So any form of communication that you want to send us, we love chatting with y'all. The comments down below letting us know that you have video recommendations, we absolutely love those. Any way that we can answer your questions and help you feel more comfortable with your purchasing experience just solidifies everything that we're doing here. So make sure you hit us up. You want to get into it?
Yes, I do. All right, so we've done videos on what the state of the market is all over and the changes that are going to happen, but what is going to happen right here in our beautiful backyard of the Emerald Coast? Pensacola to Panama City, everything in between, as we always say. What's going to happen? Ugh. All right, before we get into any of it, as I've said 100 times on this channel, if not 101, we don't have a crystal ball, but we can give you the most likely scenarios based on previous performance and then, of course, current data. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's get into it. AJ, take us off.
All right, something that we are seeing out here, we'll give you a couple of instances and just some anecdotes of what we're each seeing through our transactions, just some patterns that we're noticing right here in Fort Walton and the surrounding areas. So something that we've seen are price reductions. We haven't seen that in a bit, but now they're becoming pretty popular. Price reductions and longer days on the market.
Yeah, so as the people that were priced a little bit too aggressively, as the market takes a little bit of a slowdown and goes from this to this, some buyers are going to peel back. This happens every single time we have an interest rate hike, and we're going to have several more throughout the year. There's going to be a little bit of slowdown. So the people that were priced aggressively are going to have to scale back a little bit and go, okay, I know my house was worth $330,000 to $360,000. We priced at $360,000. I was hoping to get lucky. Didn't happen. We're going to have to scale back. And then, of course, there's going to be some sellers that don't want to scale back. That's all right. So the infamous days of the 1 day on the market and 14 offers above appraised value, all that good stuff.
With a big old massive appraisal gap contingency.
Yeah, we're likely going to see that slow down, if not come to a really screeching halt, which would be good.
So where we've been seeing this very aggressive strategy of listing properties at the highest part of the range, we're going to start coming back to seeing properties listed at that low range, try to come back to instigate that bidding war. We don't know that it's going to come back to that bidding war status, but it will at least attract more buyers and have better offers still with that strategy, as opposed to going all the way at the high end and just getting more than that still, right? So everything's kind of going to shift a little bit and make negotiations more possible where they haven't really been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more conversations happening, a lot less this is it and that's it, and a little bit more, well, maybe I'm willing to give or take, maybe I'll throw the patio furniture in kind of thing.
Yeah, and so what this is going to do is just taking just one of the cards out of the seller's hands a little bit and giving them just a little bit less of something to work with. But this does not mean, buyers out there, this does not mean that you get to control the situation. We're just not there yet. It'll be your time again. Don't worry, I promise you. Markets always ebb and flows. We go from a seller's market, we'll eventually slide into a buyer's market. It doesn't look like we will in the next several years, but it eventually will. But my point is, they're going to have a little bit less negotiating power. You're going to have just a little bit more. Just don't get too greedy with it.
Something that we're seeing right now are buyers being pickier than they were before because, here recently it's been, kind of like fight for your life. Like buy whatever's on the market, whatever they want, give it to them. I'll take the house. It doesn't matter. It's not perfect. That's fine. I'll deal with it later. I just need a house. We're not seeing that same thing right now. We're seeing, well, it doesn't actually perfectly meet our needs, so we'll offer this amount, and if they don't take it, that's totally fine. We'll wait until something better hits the market. It's not worth more than this to us right now. So we're kind of seeing that's what's contributing to the collective days on the market right now, and some of the price reductions that we're seeing when these sellers want to sell very, very quickly because they've become accustomed to selling within a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now they see it sit on the market for 7 days and they're like, oh my God, what's wrong with my house? You know, is it priced poorly? What's going on with it? No, it just wasn't a perfect match, and now buyers are waiting for their perfect match.
And it's funny because we're actually seeing that directly with a lot of our listings. A lot of the people that thought, hey, this is going to be a 1 or 2 day thing, it'll sell in the first weekend, and it's now 3 weekends in, 4 weekends in, which is a little bit unusual for what we're used to seeing the last several months. So that's all part of buyer fatigue is basically what that is. Buyers have just been getting beat up. You guys have been, you might not have purchased in the last year, but a lot of other people haven't. They've just been getting beat out, beat up, and they're tired. And then you pair that with higher interest rates, and they're going to peel back a little bit. Supply is still going to be there, but the demand's going to slow down a little bit because of exactly what AJ was just saying.
It's just exhausting emotionally, And speaking of being fatigued with this entire process, I think buyers are also becoming fatigued with the idea of having to do work to a property.
Yeah, and that's been a problem for the last several years. We've been doing a lot of as-is contracts, a lot of, hey, give the seller everything in the world that they want. And as that starts slowing down, you're going to start seeing buyers have a little bit more leeway. Now, it might not be, hey, you're going to get all your closing costs paid for, plus all the repairs you want, plus all of this, but it might start going in that direction, okay? Maybe getting half of your closing costs paid for in the next 3 to 6 months and continuing on for the next couple of years after that isn't going to be non-traditional, I guess is the best way to say it. At least in our marketplace here, it was very common pre-pandemic for people to get list price when you're selling your home, but all of your closing costs paid for, plus a decent chunk of repairs. I don't think it's going to go to that in the next 3 to 6 months, but talk to us in a year, and I actually think we'll be right back to that marketplace where you as the buyer are going to have a little bit of leeway. You don't want to drop $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 in closing costs. You don't have to. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
But that's where it's looking like it's trending.
I think it could definitely end up being like an either or thing, where if the buyers are like, hey, we don't have the money for closing costs and to do these repairs that we would really want done to the house, maybe they could negotiate for just that same amount, but it's an either or. You're either going to get money towards your closing costs or you're going to get money towards repairs. Here's a check at closing to do whatever you want with, essentially.
Or a little bit of money off the list price. Like, I think you're actually spot on there. I think it is going to be a mixture of that. I just don't think it's going to be $10,000 total of any of that, but it might be $2,000 off list, $1,000 to concessions to get new carpet, and whatever. And so, yeah, that's definitely a very big possibility as the market continues trending the way it is.
I just had some buyers actually submit an offer to one of my sellers. It's not on the market yet. It's like an off market deal that may or may not happen. It's not ready to list or anything, but it might just be a great match. And they're asking for all kinds of repairs. And the seller was like, yeah, okay, I'll do all of it. And he's already put on a brand new roof, painted the whole thing, put in new carpeting, replaced a bunch of windows. And he's like, okay, well, here's $5,000 worth of additional repairs and such to do. And he's like, okay, draft it up. And lower than the price point that I gave him. So I don't think that's the norm by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some sellers out there that are going to be like, I just want it gone. I'm scared of what the market's doing right now. I just want it gone. Let's talk about condos a little bit, because this is a different type of purchase that we're talking about. The main bulk of our video, we've been talking about, primary residences. These are folks that essentially have to buy, right? You have to have a place to live. Maybe you're a move-up buyer, but for the most part, a lot of our folks that are here to purchase are moving from somewhere else. Maybe they're relocating with a job, relocating for the military, whether they're buying or renting, like, we need a house. And of course, it's better to buy always than it is to rent. So, but let's talk about the other type of buyer, someone who is investing in properties. Then the look is a bit different, because it's not so much about what kind of interest rate and everything. Like, yeah, that's part of it, but the bigger part is how much money can I make off of this. So condos are going to trend a little bit, condos and vacation rentals in general are going to trend a little bit behind what we're seeing right now for primary residences, because the motive and the goal is different. An investor doesn't have to buy right now unless it's a 1031 exchange, and that's something totally we don't need to get into. But it's not like a life or death situation, you know, as it is when you're looking for a primary residence.
And another thing that you're going to see in the condo and vacation space is a lot of the people that are buying these as second homes and things like that, when the market is really good, the overall market, not housing market, just the economy in general, they have extra discretionary funds, so you tend to see more people buying second homes. A lot of those people are going to step out of the market completely for second homes, at least, right? Primary homes aside. But for second homes, vacation homes, like the ones that are like, I'll rent it out a little bit, but it's mainly for me, they're going to step out, which means the buyer pool for condos it's going to get a little bit smaller, and it's going to get generally tailored toward more investor-friendly people that are looking at numbers is the point. So if you've got a condo or vacation home that's not living up to the standard that it needs to hit, and there's no comparable properties that are living up to the standard that it needs to be, which has traditionally been approximately 10% of the purchase price. $500,000 condo should be making $50,000 in income
per year.
Per year, yeah. If you don't have any sort of data showing that that's possible, and you're trying to sell a $500,000 home or vacation condo that only grosses $35,000, you're going to get hurt as the seller, and the buyer is going to have the buyer's going to have the advantage there because, well, they're not going to look at that. They're going to go, okay, well, this one's $500,000, this one's making $35,000, but this one's $500,000, it's making $55,000. This one is now out of the market. It has priced itself out based on its investor friendliness, if you will.
So essentially, the comps aren't really going to be comps anymore in the condo and vacation realm unless they match up with the cap rate of the individual unit. It's almost like these cash buyer flippers that were buying like smaller first-time homes, essentially like starter homes that were in bad shape, and then fixed them up super nice, and then basically sold them as like an upgrade home or like a move-up home. So the same mindset, you know, you've got your 70-30 rule and such. So if it's only investors are only looking at money and income. You know, it's a business. It's not a secondary home. It's all about the numbers. It's not about what is this property worth. It's about how much income is this property going to bring. And if those numbers don't match, then it's going to sit on the market until someone who wants to purchase it to live in, at least part-time, is like, okay, I'm ready to buy again.
And that's the big separator right there. It's not that the condo or vacation home is going to be worth less. It's not. It's going to be worth the same. If it's comped properly, it's comped properly. It's just that you're going to have a smaller pool of buyers to buy that same one because the investors that are bringing in their money are just going to be looking at numbers.
Something that actually I've seen recently is while we know that these numbers are going to change and the pool of buyers is going to change, we're still talking about condos. Some of these sellers, though, are going to be like, I'm not selling it for less. I don't have to sell for less. A lot of these condos are paid off. You know, maybe they've been secondary homes that they've been renting out, you know, part-time for years and years. They've owned for ages and ages, and they put love in them, and they're beautiful, and they're like, well, I get that it's a slow market, but I don't have to sell. And even if my cap rate is less than another unit, I'm still making money. So I'm not going to take, you know, what this cash offer from this investor is saying. Like, I get that's what this unit is worth to them, but I'm just going to wait until the right buyer comes along. And the right buyer will eventually come along. It just might take longer.
Those are the main points that we have for you guys for today. Put down in a comment down below what your plans are. Are you going to be purchasing, or are you going to wait it out?
Ooh.
Let us know. See you next week.
Bye, y'all.